First of all, it's my first time to the International School of Beijing and to the TED. Many thanks to China Link, Lei, and Leighton, and the president. Well, I'm from the Chinese Academy of Sciences, where curiosity, creativity, and courage abound. I'm standing here today not because I dare to be different, but because I am different. Yeah. Right now, you see me, but I can't see you. Like the governor of New York, who said, I can't see where I'm standing. Me, the same case. That's why when our CNN Beijing bureau chief was talking, I was trying very hard to imagine how good looking he is. Right. Okay. And after hearing our first speaker, I finally realized why I'm here, because for the sake of biodiversity. Right. I'm glad to be here and to find this atmosphere, to find East meets West, because Confucius said, a gentleman seeks harmony with diversified views, while a wicked man seeks sameness without harmony. So, well, despite my disability, I'm still teaching graduate students. Many of them are PhD candidates. I'm opening new courses and in charge of research programs. I enjoy teaching. In fact, I've been a faculty member on university campus for 27 years. Coming here to the International School of Beijing brought me back to my happy high school days. I must confess that I never received my high school diploma. That's why I envy you. Well, when I just entered my high school, senior high school, well, and I also was on the city's volleyball team of the city's spare time sports school. Well, by that time, China came the first national college entrance examination. I was fortunate enough to take it. Then I went to college when I was 15 and became a teacher in college when I was 19. Then I want to find out something about the cradle of Chinese scientists. So I became a graduate student of linguistics at the Chinese Academy of Sciences. And upon my graduation, 2 years later, I became its youngest lecturer there. So these are my sunny days. Then comes rainy days. By the age of 29, I lost my eyesight because of illness. But that's something very hard to take for somebody who became blind halfway in life. And my marriage and my family also fell apart. Well, he's gone, and he took away our little daughter. So I've also seen my darkest days in life and became really frustrated. I still remember one day taking a bus. The conductor told me, well, you can take a seat over there. I just stood still and thinking so hard, where on earth is that seat? Where is there? And I dare not to think further. For a person like me who can't distinguish here from there, where is his niche in life? So it's a big challenge for me. So I locked myself up for quite a long time. And finally, as I realized there's no other alternative but to face the reality and start all over again. I have to say that one of the songs by Stevie Wonder really encouraged me. I just called to say, I love you. That's a very happy song. I thought at that time, how could he, with his disability, sing such a happy song? So he's an inspiration for me as well. Well, I have to read and write and do things in a different way or creatively. So I learned to walk with a cane. I was no good at using it. Several times I would stumble and fell because of that cane. Just now we had a coffee break. When I took beverage, in the summer I was in a hurry, so I didn't realize there's a straw there, and the straw just poked my eyes. So that's why you see I'm wearing my glasses, just to try to avoid another injury of my eye. Well, because of my experience, I learned that this year is not only 200th birthday for Charles Darwin, but also 200th birthday for Louis Braille, the inventor of Braille. But for me, it's a long journey, because to read with your fingertips instead of eyes, it's a revolution. But that revolutionary thinking came very slowly. For an hour, a solid hour, I just felt with my fingertips. I knew exactly what the characters are, what the letters are, C-A-B-B-A-G-E. But it never dawned upon me that it's the word cabbage. So I was so frustrated, because in the old days I could have finished a book in an hour, but now it's so slow. Right? But I just tried through various means, audiobooks, Braille, and computer software with synthetic speech. So I was able to do things, more things. Then I began to realize I still have a dream. So I really want to go back to the classroom. I love the podium. But for me, it's a long way from my home to school. I'm very grateful to my father. He said, I can be your walking stick. So I've been visually impaired for 17 years. That means years in, year out, over 6,000 days. And just, with the seasons changing, right? Yeah, winter, spring, summer, and fall. My father accompanied me. I just helped his arm, and we took public transportation, the buses, the subway, and I got to our final destination. That's a lecture building, rain or shine. So I'm very grateful to my parents, because in my hard days, they helped me to rise up again. Yeah, learn to walk, learn to take meals properly. Yeah, so I was able to be back in the classroom. I try to be punctual, but in order to be there by 8 o'clock in the morning, my father and I have to set out before 6 in the morning. Well, nobody knows that, except right now. Okay, and in the classroom, I still like to write on the blackboard, and I still want to have that high standard. I want my things to look as natural and beautiful as I can. what can I do? I use my footsteps and my left hand, yeah, by the blackboard so that I could take some measurements. When I teach, I use multimedia devices. Actually, today I brought my laptop. But for those screen, well, it's very hard because when you touch it, it's all so smooth. So I need to put on something which is like marker. It's something like Band-Aid, yeah, to make some marks for me to manipulate those devices. And at the very beginning of each semester, when I have new classes, I try to ask more questions so that I could remember the name of students as well as their voices. But for the students, they never knew. So it turned out that several weeks into my classes, the students didn't know. They have different teacher who could hardly see a thing. That's why the Chinese writer Liu Heng, in his report entitled Yang Jia, the Extraordinary Teacher, he said, going to my classes is really a kind of, it's an enjoyment, it's a pleasure. Well, I like that. Besides teaching, I want to write books again. So I tried various kinds of software, and then my books came out one after another. There are readings for graduate students as well as writings. And I'm very grateful because I've been with many wonderful teachers in my life. My supervisor at the graduate school is Professor Li Pei, nicknamed the First Lady of Applied Linguistics in China. And she happened to be the wife of Mr. Guo Yonghuai, who happened to be one of the few Chinese scientists who worked in the Bell Laboratory and who came back in the 50s for the China bomb project. So my supervisor, Li Pei, wrote the preface for my books, praising them to be excellent and respectful book. Because of her encouragement, for me, that's self-confidence found. So it's like a paradise lost and paradise found. Then, at the beginning of this century, I really want to go to see the world, and I want to go to be a student and to go to an international school like this one. So in the year 2000, I was lucky enough to be admitted to Harvard University and to its most international school, the Kennedy School of Government. And one of my Harvard professors happened to be the dean and also the author of the book Soft Power, and he's also the authority for the globalization theory, Joseph Nye. So I was very lucky. For my, as a student, when I took my classes, well, I have to overcome various kinds of difficulties, but my classmates helped me a lot. When I push the button off and on, they would remind me. And then for my notes, they said my notes are just as wonderful as the teacher's scripts. And I love the way Harvard professor teach. They never read books or scripts. Okay, so there are lots of cases. So for the readings, it's big reading after each course. My classmates complained a lot. Well, they don't have enough time for me. That's even harder because I have to go through more procedures through a scanner with those teaching materials, page by page, scan them, and then with some software, I could they could be read up. So by that time, I think Harvard helped me to learn more, the latest, the most sophisticated technology like Kurzweil and JAWS, to help me cope with my courses. But my reading speed kept changing, speed up. Formerly, I listened over 200 words per minute, but later to 400 words per minute. But for my paper on Deng Xiaoping's Arts of Leadership has been the sample paper for Kennedy School. And the person who happened to teach the course, the Arts of Leadership, is David Gergen. And he's a top-notch professor and who once served for US president in the White House, including Nixon. He gave me the highest score at Harvard Kennedy School. That's A+. And he wrote on his book, he said, "Jia, you taught us more." And on commencement day, when I took my certificate from Dean Nye, he congratulated me and praised me highly. So I won standing ovations. Back in China, I tried to apply what I learned. So I started new courses like economic globalization, the arts of communication, and helped to set the standard, MP3 standard, for volunteers for the Beijing Olympics and Paralympics. And I'm in charge of technology for persons with disabilities, especially for this research program. I'm studying its globalization as well as its standardization. And I'm also able to give suggestions to the government and as well as policies. I became a CPPCC member. I think finally I like to say, because I was speaker, the CNN Beijing bureau chief talked about his experience. I like to say November 3rd last year, I was in the States. And on CNN, there was David Gergen as the CNN senior political analyst commenting on the two candidates. And the supporters of the two candidates kept saying, "One more day. For me, no more." That's the day for my election as well. That day I won. I became a member of the newly elected UN CRPD committee. That's for the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. So for this convention, it's the last one to come out, but the most popular one so far, and one of the key human rights conventions. So our mission is to see to the effective implementation of this convention. I've been to the 2 committee meetings, and I succeeded in becoming the vice chair of the committee. And we just came out with the reporting guidelines for next year. So I think we have lots of things to do for the 650 million persons with disabilities in the world, as well as 83 million disabled people in China. That's more than the population of Germany. And I think I'm glad to find out there are many people with a big heart here in this school, like the Nightingale Charity Club and also the Education e-bus. So my experience taught me that it matters not how one acquires knowledge, it matters how one applies it for the sake of a better society. To be powerful, one must go through 2 phases in life. Phase 1, you compete with others. Phase 2, you compete with yourself. The same is true for nations like China, like the United States. Okay, and I'm very grateful so far because my disability drove me to exercise what John F. Kennedy has said. We choose to do things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. So thank you very much indeed.